a Nigerian boy's scary Halloween experience in the UK. Femi, a young boy from Nigeria, had recently relocated to the UK with his family. Everything about the new environment felt strange and exciting, but there was an underlying fear that gripped his heart. A fear of the unknown. The stories he had heard about life in the UK filled his mind with wonder, yet nothing could prepare him for the terrifying experience that was about to unfold on his first Halloween night. It was late October, and the air was cool as the sun began to set. Femi's parents had encouraged him to go out and explore the neighborhood. "Femi, go out and make some friends. You need to get to know the kids around here," his mother said with a smile. Reluctantly, Femi agreed. But as soon as he stepped out of the house, his unease began to grow. The streets were draped in strange decorations, orange and purple lights flickered from windows, pumpkins with carved, grinning faces sat on doorsteps, and eerie figures hung from the trees. To him, it looked like a scene from a nightmare. Femi's heart began to pound in his chest as he walked further into the neighborhood. In his mind, he could only imagine one thing: ghosts. The decorations, with their haunting glow, sent shivers down his spine. Suddenly, a group of teenagers dressed in bizarre costumes ran past him, laughing and shouting. Femi froze in terror. What kind of place is this, he thought to himself, his breath quickening. It was as if the shadows themselves were closing in on him. Overwhelmed by fear, Femi turned and bolted, tears streaming down his face. "Mom! Dad!" he screamed, running as fast as his legs could carry him. "There are ghosts outside. Help!" He burst through the front door of his home, panting and wide-eyed, his parents staring at him in confusion. "Femi, what's wrong?" his father asked, his voice filled with concern. "There are ghosts all over the streets. They are everywhere," Femi cried out, still trembling. His mother knelt down beside him, her face softening with understanding. "Femi, those aren't ghosts. It's Halloween," she said gently. "Here, just like we have masquerades back home, the people celebrate with costumes and decorations. It's just for fun." But Femi couldn't shake his fear. The images of the decorations haunted him, and for days, he refused to go outside alone. He was afraid that the streets were filled with evil spirits waiting to harm him. His parents tried to comfort him, telling him that it was just a harmless tradition, but the fear lingered. At school the next day, Femi was still shaken by the experience. His classmates were excitedly talking about Halloween, sharing stories about their costumes and the candy they would collect. Femi, however, sat quietly, still nervous about what he had seen. That's when Sophie walked into the classroom. Sophie was a bright, cheerful girl with golden hair and blue eyes that sparkled with curiosity. She was dressed in a playful costume, but to Femi, all he could see was the scary figures from the night before. When their eyes met, Femi panicked. His mind flashed back to the terrifying scene from his neighborhood, and before Sophie could even greet him, he bolted from the room. "Femi! Wait!" Sophie called after him, but it was too late. He was already running down the hall, his fear overpowering him. The following day, Sophie approached Femi at his desk, her expression a mix of curiosity and concern. "Femi, why did you run away yesterday?" she asked. Femi felt his cheeks flush with embarrassment. He had no idea how to explain his fear to her. After a moment of hesitation, he finally admitted, "I thought you were a ghost." Sophie's eyes widened in surprise, and then she burst into laughter. "A ghost? No, no. I promise I'm not a ghost," she said, her laughter soft and friendly. "That's just a Halloween costume. It's all part of the tradition here." She pulled out her phone and began showing Femi pictures and videos of Halloween celebrations from previous years. The images were colorful and cheerful, and for the first time, Femi began to understand that what he had seen wasn't meant to be scary. "See. It's just a fun holiday," Sophie explained. "People dress up in costumes and go trick-or-treating. It's like how you celebrate festivals back home in Nigeria, where everyone comes together to enjoy food, music, and laughter, but here, they add a spooky twist." Femi felt a wave of relief wash over him. Sophie's kindness and the pictures she showed him helped him realize that Halloween wasn't something to be afraid of. In fact, it seemed like it could be fun. Sophie grinned and made a promise to him. "Femi, how about I take you out for Halloween this weekend? We'll get you a fun costume, and I'll show you how much fun it can be." That evening, Sophie came to Femi's house, where she charmed his parents into letting them go out together. She led him to a local Halloween costume store, where they tried on different outfits. After a few laughs and funny moments, Femi settled on a bright green monster costume that made him look more silly than scary. "You look awesome," Sophie exclaimed, barely able to contain her laughter. "You'll fit right in." On Halloween night, Femi and Sophie joined a group of teens from the neighborhood, all of them dressed in colorful, spooky costumes. The air was filled with laughter and excitement as they roamed the streets, going from house to house, collecting candy and joining in the fun. At first, Femi felt nervous, but as the night wore on, his fear faded. He began to laugh and enjoy himself, even finding the decorations amusing rather than terrifying. The pumpkins no longer seemed menacing, and the costumes no longer frightened him. By the end of the night, Femi had experienced his first Halloween in the UK, and it was nothing like he had imagined. Thanks to Sophie's kindness and patience, he had transformed his fear into fun. They had become close friends, and Halloween had gone from a nightmare to a night he would never forget. As Femi and Sophie sat on the curb, watching the last few trick-or-treaters pass by, they shared one final laugh about the night's adventures. Just as they were about to say goodbye, Sophie's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Femi, I almost forgot. There's this Halloween tradition in our neighborhood that's supposed to be a bit of a mystery," she said, leaning in closer. "They call it the Midnight Hunt, and I've heard it's a secret scavenger hunt that only happens once every few years. Do you want to check it out?" Femi's heart raced. The idea of another Halloween adventure both thrilled and terrified him, but the curiosity in Sophie's eyes was hard to resist. After all, he'd come this far. He took a deep breath and nodded, feeling a strange mixture of excitement and nerves. Together, they crept back into the neighborhood park, where the trees cast long shadows under the moonlight. The usually friendly park seemed different now, with a quiet stillness that felt almost magical. Femi clutched his flashlight tightly as they scanned the area, looking for anything unusual. After a few moments, Sophie spotted something, an old, dusty envelope pinned to a tree with a small note, "Welcome to the Midnight Hunt. If you dare, follow the clues to unlock a hidden Halloween prize." Femi's eyes widened as Sophie read the message aloud. "This is like something out of a movie," she whispered, her voice full of excitement. They opened the envelope, revealing a piece of paper with the first clue, "I have eyes that glow but never see. You'll find me by the twisted tree." They looked around, puzzled, before Sophie gasped. "The big oak tree at the edge of the park. Remember how we saw those glowing pumpkin decorations hanging from it earlier?" Femi nodded, and together they made their way to the tree, where they found a small bag tied to one of the lower branches. Inside was the next clue, along with a small, plastic spider. Femi chuckled, realizing that what he once thought was terrifying now seemed like a fun game. The next clue led them to a nearby playground, where they had to dig under the swing set to find an old plastic cauldron. With each clue, Femi felt his fear fading, replaced by a growing sense of excitement. Sophie's laughter and encouragement made it all the more thrilling, and he found himself fully immersed in the adventure. Finally, they reached the last clue, which was a riddle, "I'm round and bright, yet only shine at night. Some say I bring fright, but really, I'm a sight. What am I?" Femi thought hard, the words swirling in his mind. He remembered how frightened he'd been by the decorations and eerie sights earlier in the night. But now, they seemed harmless, even fun. Then it hit him. "The moon," he exclaimed, grinning at Sophie. Sophie's face lit up. "Yes. You solved it." Just then, they noticed a small, shimmering object half buried in the grass nearby. Femi picked it up, discovering a silver pendant shaped like a crescent moon. He held it up to the moonlight, its surface glinting softly. "That's for you, Femi," Sophie said with a smile. "A little keepsake to remember your first Halloween." You were so brave tonight, facing all your fears. Femi felt a warmth spread through his chest as he slipped the pendant into his pocket. Halloween, once a source of dread, had turned into one of the best nights of his life. He had new friends, new experiences, and the courage to face the unknown, all thanks to Sophie and the magical night they had shared. As they walked back, Femi turned to Sophie, a wide smile on his face. "You know, I think I'm ready for next Halloween," he said confidently. Sophie laughed, giving him a playful nudge. "Well, then, you'd better start planning your costume." Femi laughed along with her, no longer feeling like an outsider, but a true part of his new world. For the first time, he looked around at the neighborhood with excitement rather than fear, knowing he'd be ready for any adventure that came his way. And as he drifted off to sleep that night, clutching the moon pendant, Femi knew he'd conquered more than just Halloween. He'd discovered the courage to face anything that might come his way in his new life. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Make sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our exciting content. Your support means a lot to us. Thank you for watching.